Iraq withdrawal, second thoughts. 8 months shy of its deadline for pulling the last American soldier from Iraq and closing the door on an 8-year war, the Pentagon is having second thoughts. Reluctant to say it publicly, officials fear a final pullout in December could create a security vacuum, offering an opportunity for power grabs by antagonists in an unresolved and simmering Arab-Kurd dispute, a weakened but still active al-Qaida, or even an adventurous neighbor such as Iran. The U.S. wants to keep perhaps several thousand troops in Iraq, not to engage in combat, supposedly, but to guard against an unraveling of a still fragile peace. This was made clear during Defense Secretary Robert Gates' visit, in which he and the top U.S. commander in Iraq talked up the prospect of an extended U.S. stay. How big a military commitment might the U.S. be willing to make beyond 2011? It just depends on what the Iraqis want and what we're able to provide and afford, Gates said at a U.S. base in the northern city of Mosul, where U.S. soldiers advise and mentor Iraqi forces. He said the United States would consider a range of possibilities, from staying an extra couple of years to remaining in Iraq as permanent partners. Less clear is whether the Iraqis will ask for any extension. Powerful political winds are blowing against such a move, even as U.S. officials assert that Iraqi leaders, Sunni, Shiite, and Kurd, are saying privately they see a need for help developing their air defenses and other military capabilities. U.S. training of Iraqi forces up to now has focused on combating an internal enemy, including al-Qaida, rather than external threats. So, if the Iraqis choose not to ask for more help, then December 31st probably will mark the end of U.S. military intervention that was so close to failing when Robert Gates became Pentagon chief in December 2006. He once said the U.S. faced the prospect of a strategic disaster at the heart of the Middle East. The question is, can both sides agree on something more modest, but will still provide an adequate legal basis for a smaller number of American troops to stay in Iraq with quite defined missions? There are now approximately 47,000 U.S. troops in Iraq, less than one-third the total at the peak of the war 4 years ago. Senator Lindsey Graham, a leading skeptic of the Obama administration's plan to turn over the Iraq mission to the State Department in January, has called this a formula for failure. Graham, Republican, South Carolina, says the U.S. needs to keep at least 10,000 troops in Iraq into 2012. If we're not smart enough to work with the Iraqis to have 10,000 to 15,000 American troops in Iraq in 2012, Iraq could go to hell, Graham said on CBS's Face the Nation on April 4th. He said it was imperative that the United States remain to make sure Iran doesn't interfere with the Iraqi sovereignty and to help develop an Iraq that emerged from decades of oppressive rule by Saddam Hussein, with no army, a crippled economy, and a corrupted political order. But is it really in any better shape now, after many years and billions of dollars? The top American commander in Iraq, Army General Lloyd Austin, says he has not yet been asked by the Pentagon to recommend any potential extension of the military mission. Asked in an interview last week at his headquarters outside Baghdad whether he thinks a longer stay is in U.S. interests, he declined to say, but it was clear from his comments about gaps in Iraq's military capabilities that he thinks it's too soon to hit the exits. The general said ordinary Iraqis have an unrealistic view of the strength of the army and police, in part because more than a year after a national election, but eventually returned al-Maliki as prime minister, the government has neither a defense minister nor interior minister. Certainly, if you're in the Iraqi military, you understand what your capabilities and your gaps are. But if you're an average citizen unless somebody like a minister of defense or a minister of interior begins to explain that to you. You just don't know, he said. If you see a lot of soldiers, you think you have a lot of capability. But that may not be the case in Iraq. In other words, the question is, at what great cost and how much longer will the United States be involved in Iraq? And what is the end game? Again, these are more signs of the times, the end times, transition days, which is a day-by-day process of extraordinary happenings, changes, and events, which are increasing in frequency. Revelation chapter 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. 2. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering, and to conquer. 3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. 4. And there went out another horse, that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, but they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see, thou hurt not the oil and the wine. 7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. 9. When he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God, and for the testimony which they held. 10. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? 11. And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them, They should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also, and their brethren, that should be killed as they were, should be fulfilled. 12. And I beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. 13. The stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. 14. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain, and island, and nation were moved out of their places. 15. And the leaders of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free human, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. 16. And said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. 17. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? The time has come for all prophecy to be fulfilled. Again, everything is connected, and everything is numbered.